And you, being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, He has made alive together with Him, having forgiven you all trespasses, having wiped out the handwriting of requirements that was against us, which was contrary to us. He has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. So something was nailed to the cross. Verse 15. Having disarmed principalities and powers, He made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. So, let no one judge you in food or in drink or regarding a festival or a new moon or Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is of Christ. Let no one cheat you of your reward, taking delight in false humility and worship of angels, intruding into those things which he has not yet seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding fast to the head, that's Christ, from whom all the body, that's us, nourished and knit together by joints and ligaments, grows with increase that is from God. Wow, what a passage. It says that last bit of verse 13 says, having forgiven you all trespasses, having wiped out the handwriting of requirements that was against us. Now, and the King James says the handwriting of ordinances that was against us. Now, what were the requirements that Paul is speaking about here? Right? We have to understand that we have to go back to the time of Paul. Obviously, he's not going to tell us about our South African Revenue Service's tax requirements. This must have something to do with the people at the time of Christ. Now, the people at the time of Christ were aware and understood the requirements as was laid out in the Mosaic law. One of them was, I'll give you an example, Passover. Passover, they had to literally sacrifice a literal little lamb, and they would have to eat that lamb, every single stitch. They had to cook it with bitter herbs so that it wasn't a experience. It has to be a experience, right? Because the Passover lamb died for us. It's not a fun thing to eat. It's a bitter herb meal, and there were drink, etc. that went with it. Now, that was a requirement. But do we today still have to sacrifice a lamb and eat it? Why not? Okay, what happened at the time of Jesus? He came and this sacrificial system stopped, right? The ordinances or the handwriting of ordinances, the handwriting of requirements, what that is it's the requirements in order to show us what's going to come. There were certain things that were required of those people. And if you read carefully, it's let's just read verse 14. Having wiped out the handwriting of requirements that was against us, which was contrary to us, He's taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. So when Jesus was nailed to the cross, these requirements were removed. Listen carefully. Having disarmed principalities and powers, He made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. Verse 16. So let no one judge you in food or in drink or regarding a festival or a new moon or Sabbaths. Listen what the first words of verse 17 says. Which are a what? Of what? But the substance or body is whom? Christ. So we have Christ. I have a spotlight in front of me. Where does my shadow start? Can you see it on the screen? That's where my shadow starts. Where does it stop? At the original. Right? So all the ordinances and the requirements that were placed on the people in the Old Testament were a shadow of the original. So the shadow is done away with when the original comes to life. Does that make sense? Right. So let's read it carefully. By Him being nailed to the cross, verse 16 says, let no one therefore judge you in food or in drink or regarding a festival or a new moon. Question. Are any of those in the Ten Commandments? Food, drink, festival, new moon. Where are they? They're in the ceremonial law, which is a shadow pointing, the Passover lamb was pointing towards Jesus Christ, right? Like all the other festivals and feast days. Those festivals were known as Sabbaths, right? Now, today we have the Sabbath, and in those days we had the Sabbath plus other Sabbaths Now, you'll see in the New King James Bible that the word Sabbath there in verse 16 is written with a small s. Right? It's written with a small s. That's because the Sabbath, seventh day, is with a capital S. The festival feast days is with a small s. And that's why he's bunching it together, and he says, let no one judge you in food, eating the Passover lamb, or in drink with the Passover lamb, or regarding the festival of Passover, or a new moon festival, or the festivals of Sabbaths. Any one of those, any Sabbath, or what to do with the whole thing, all of those are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is of Christ. So he's pointing there to which law? The Mosaic law or the moral law? The ceremonial law, the Mosaic law, the law. You see, there were two laws, one that was inside the Ark of the Covenant, a second one that was outside the Ark of the Covenant. The one inside the Ark of the Covenant was written in stone by the finger of God. Now, anything I've taken out of my lips, the Lord says I will not alter it. So something that I've done, bang, I cannot change. However, there was a second law that was outside the Ark of the Covenant. It was written on parchment or some paper, skin type thing. It was rolled up and it was written by Moses and put on the outside of that was called the ceremonial law. And in the ceremonial law were all the things that told you what you have to drink and eat with these various festivals, etc. That's what he's pointing to there, right? So don't get confused when somebody says, let nobody confuse you in drink or food or new moon or festivals or Sabbath. No. It's pointing to the shadow of things to come. That's like saying Jesus didn't come. If you want to keep sacrificing the Passover, then this one you just take a pen and scratch it out. But if you understand that this is pointing to the Passover lamb, it's got nothing to do with the Sabbath day. It's got to do with the Sabbaths with a small s.